What's up, Broncos country? While Broncos country was celebrating that epic victory over the Commanders in prime time, complete with dramatic overtime and suffocating defense, the Denver Broncos front office was already behind the scenes planning the next move. And look, folks, this move could completely change the dynamics of our offense down the stretch of the season. We're talking about a wide receiver who has already made us suffer inside Empower Field, a guy who knows what it's like to produce in the league, and who now wears orange and blue. The name? Hold on, because what really matters is what he represents for this team that's sitting at 10 wins and 2 losses, fighting for first place in the AFC. Stick around and I'll tell you everything, so let's get right to the point. Broncos country. On Monday, right after that hard-fought victory against Washington, the Denver Broncos officially announced the signing of wide receiver Elijah Moore to the practice squad. That's right, folks. Moore, who was available on the market after being released by the Buffalo Bills less than a week ago, visited our facilities on Monday and didn't waste any time. He signed with us and is now part of this machine that's on a 9-game winning streak. But hold on, because there's a lot of context to this signing that you need to understand. First, who is this guy? Elijah Moore is 25 years old, was selected in the second round of the 2021 draft by the New York Jets as the 34th overall pick. Since then, he's made the rounds in the league. He spent his first 2 seasons with the Jets, was traded to the Cleveland Browns in 2023, played there for 2 seasons, and this year was with the Bills before being released. And check out the irony of fate, Denver Broncos family. Exactly 1 year ago, on December 2, 2024, Moore played against us right here at Empower Field wearing the Browns jersey. And you know what he did? 8 receptions for 111 yards on 14 targets in a Cleveland loss. He literally gave us trouble. The guy knows our stadium, knows our defensive scheme, and now he's on our side. Coincidence? I don't think so. Now let's talk numbers, because in football the numbers don't lie. In his career, Moore has 209 receptions for 2,274 yards and 9 touchdowns in 70 games, 42 as a starter. This season with Buffalo, before being cut, he played in 9 games, had 9 receptions for 112 yards, plus 6 rushes for 24 yards and 1 touchdown. Modest numbers, but the potential is there. And when we look at last season with the Browns, things get more interesting. 61 receptions for 538 yards and 1 touchdown in 2024. In 2023, it was 59 receptions for 640 yards and 2 touchdowns. The guy knows how to produce when given the opportunity, folks. But why did the Broncos go after him now? Well, let's put our receiver corps situation in context. We have Courtland Sutton as the absolute leader, a veteran who's a reference in the locker room and on the field. Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims Jr. have been getting most of the snaps in recent weeks and are growing in the system. But the truth is, we were missing that experienced option who could play the slot, run intermediate routes, and give the group more depth, especially thinking about the playoffs. Head coach Sean Payton had repeatedly said he liked the composition of the wide receiver group, so much so that the Broncos didn't make any moves at the trade deadline. But Payton is too smart, folks. He knows that adding experienced players to the practice squad costs nothing and can pay big dividends. That's how they brought in Marcedes Lewis, a tight end with 20 years in the league, and Michael Bandy. Now it's Moore's turn, and check out this interesting detail. Moore has a special connection with someone on our roster. Outside linebacker Nick Bonitto, who was selected to the Pro Bowl and received second-team All-Pro honors in 2024 for that monster season on defense, was Moore's high school teammate down in Florida. The two played together and now reunite in Denver. Bonitto even posted on social media showing excitement about his friend's arrival. That chemistry can make a difference in the locker room, believe it. But let's not romanticize too much, Denver Broncos family. Let's be realistic here. Moore signed with the practice squad, not the active roster. That means he'll need to practice absorb Payton's system, show he understands the plays, and then he can be promoted to the active roster when needed. All 5 wide receivers on the active roster are healthy right now, so there's no immediate need for elevation for the Week 14 matchup against the Raiders. But that's precisely Payton's smart play. He's not collecting names just to collect them. The guy wants to win, wants the Super Bowl, and every piece has to fit perfectly. Bringing Moore to the practice squad gives complete flexibility to evaluate how he adapts before making any decisions. If he can quickly understand the playbook, show versatility, and demonstrate he can contribute immediately, the promotion will come naturally. And look, there's another point we need to consider. The Broncos are at 10 wins and 2 losses, tied with the Patriots in the fight for first place in the AFC. The defense is playing at an insane level. Bo Nix is evolving every week as quarterback, but the offense still needs more consistency. When Courtland Sutton is well covered, when the young receivers can't get open, we're missing that reliable 3rd or 4th option who can show up at the right moment. Moore could be exactly that. A guy who's already played in different offensive schemes, who went through the Jets, Browns, and Bills, so he has experience with different coordinators and different philosophies. That versatility is extremely valuable, especially now that we're entering the decisive phase of the season where every game is a final. Let's also talk about the timing of this signing. The Bills released Moore on November 26th to make roster space and sign Brandon Cooks. In other words, he was only a week as a free agent before the Broncos acted. It was quick, it was efficient, and it shows our front office was keeping an eye on opportunities emerging in the market. And when you think about the profile of player Payton likes, Moore makes sense. He's not a tall, physical guy like Sutton, but he's quick, has good hands, knows how to work intermediate routes, and can be used in various ways. He's already rushed the ball 6 times this season, showing he can contribute on creative designed plays too. That versatility meshes very well with Sean Payton's creative mind. Now, let's talk about something important that many people don't consider. Moore has had injury problems throughout his career. 3 reported concussions in 2021, 2023, and 2024. He also suffered a quadriceps injury that ended his rookie season early. These are legitimate concerns that the Broncos medical staff certainly evaluated before making the offer. But if the medical team gave the green light, it's because they believe he's in condition to contribute. And let's be honest, folks, in football practically every player deals with some injury history. What matters is how he recovered and how he is physically now. Another interesting point is how Moore handles adversity. When he was released by the Bills, he posted on social media something like, "Been counted out before, nothing new, one step at a time and time will tell." That's the mindset you want to see in a player. Someone who doesn't give up, who uses criticism and obstacles as motivation. That fits perfectly with the mentality Payton is building in that locker room. And speaking of Payton, after the victory over the Commanders, he made it very clear in the press conference that the Broncos are indeed fighting for first place in the AFC. When a reporter questioned whether the team was really chasing that position, Payton was direct and said that was the dumbest question of the night, making it clear that Denver is competing for that top spot and that even Super Bowl champion teams have ugly wins on their resume. That confidence comes from top to bottom. So when you put it all together, Denver Broncos family Moore's signing makes complete strategic sense. We're in a home stretch where every detail can make the difference between going far in the playoffs or falling early. Having depth at all positions is fundamental. And on offense, especially among receivers, you can never have too many pieces. Think about it. If Sutton suffers an injury, who takes over? If Franklin or Mims can't produce in a certain game, who comes in? Moore could be that answer. And even if he's not promoted immediately, the simple fact of being on the practice squad helping the cornerbacks prepare against different route running styles already adds value. So, Broncos country, If you're enjoying this exclusive content about everything happening with our team, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell. Here you stay on top of all the moves, tactical analysis, and everything that matters to the Denver Broncos family. Let's go together. Now let's talk realistic expectations, because it's important not to create too much hype. Moore isn't going to be the savior. He's not going to transform our offense overnight. But he can be an important piece of the puzzle. Think of him as a wild card, someone you keep up your sleeve to use at the right moment. The NFL playoffs are a war of attrition. Teams arrive injured, tired, and whoever has more options usually has the advantage. How many times have we seen teams lose crucial games because they didn't have enough depth at certain positions? Moore is exactly that, qualified depth. And there's another aspect we can't ignore. His presence on the practice squad creates internal competition. The young receivers know there's an experienced guy there pushing for a spot. This forces them to train harder, study the playbook more, and dedicate themselves even more. Healthy competition always raises everyone's level. Another cool thing is that Moore has already faced the best cornerbacks in the league. He's played against top defenses, seen different schemes, knows what works and what doesn't. That experience can help Bo Nix a lot, too. Imagine the quarterback talking with Moore about how a certain cornerback reacts to certain routes, what tendencies he has. These small pieces of information make a difference on the field. And let's remember we're talking about a guy who's only 25 years old. He's not a veteran at the end of his career trying one last chance. He's a player in his physical prime, with all the energy and willingness to prove his worth. Sometimes a guy just needs the right environment to explode, and who knows if Denver might be that place for Moore. The connection with Benito also can't be underestimated. Having a longtime friend in the locker room makes adaptation much easier. Benito can introduce him to the other players, help him understand the team's culture, and make this transition smoother. Chemistry off the field often translates to better performance on the field. Besides, folks, let's recognize that Sean Payton doesn't make random moves. Every decision he makes has a purpose. If he approved Moore's signing, it's because he saw something he liked, whether in film from previous games, in the personal interview, or in the physical evaluation. Payton knows exactly the type of player that works in his system. And for those who might be thinking, but he only had 9 receptions this season with Buffalo, let's contextualize. The Bills have one of the best receiver groups in the league. It's hard to get targets when you're competing with so many other offensive weapons. It doesn't mean he can't produce given the right volume of opportunities. Also look at the fact that Moore had a solid season in 2024 with Cleveland. 61 receptions is no joke. It shows that when he gets chances, he delivers. And that game against us in December last year, with 8 receptions and 111 yards, proves he can do damage against quality defenses. What I expect, and I think all of Broncos country expects too, is that he makes the most of this opportunity, show hunger, dedication, and desire to be part of something special. Because this team is building something really special, folks. We're watching a rookie quarterback develop rapidly, a dominant defense led by guys like Benito and Patrick Surtain, and a coach who knows exactly how to win in the NFL. Moore has the chance to be part of this journey, to help this team get where we want to go. And honestly, after bouncing around so many teams in such a short time, he must be thirsty for stability and success. Denver can offer both. Thinking about the game against the Raiders in Week 14, we probably won't see Moore on the field yet. The time was too short for him to absorb the entire playbook and be ready to play. But in the following weeks, that's another story. Depending on how he adapts in practice, we could see him being elevated to the active roster and really contributing. And look, Denver Broncos family, I know some might be skeptical. Oh, another mediocre receiver who won't make a difference. But remember when Sutton himself was questioned? When they doubted Bo Nix? This team has proven week after week that it's on the right path. So why not give Moore the benefit of the doubt, too? The important thing is to understand that in modern football, You need a complete roster. You can't just count on 11 starters. You need rotation. You need fresh bodies coming in during the fourth quarter when the opponent is tired. You need options when Plan A doesn't work. Moore can be any of those things depending on the situation. And considering he signed with the practice squad and not the active roster, it was a low-risk bet with high potential return. If it works out, great. We gained another weapon. If it doesn't, nothing was lost. It's the type of move smart teams make. And let me tell you, this Broncos front office has shown a lot of intelligence in recent decisions. From hiring Sean Payton through selecting Bo Nix in the draft, to smaller moves like this one with Moore, everything seems aligned with a clear vision of where the team wants to go. And when you have that clarity of purpose, the chances of success increase exponentially. So yes, folks, I'm optimistic about this signing, not expecting miracles, but recognizing it's another piece that can help when needed. And in a season where we're fighting for first place in the AFC, every piece counts. So that's it, Broncos country. Elijah Moore is now part of the family, at least of the practice squad, and let's see how this story unfolds in the coming weeks. Will he earn a spot on the active roster? Will he be the secret weapon in the playoffs? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, this team is built to go far. And you, what do you think of this signing? Do you believe in Moore's potential? Do you think he can help make our offense even more dangerous? Comment down below. I want to know each of your opinions. Drop that like if you enjoyed the video, share it with your Denver Broncos family friends, and stay tuned because soon there's more. Hot content coming your way? Let's go together toward the Super Bowl. See you in the next video, family.